Okay, welcome to the Recruiter Startup Podcast. I'm joined today by what can only be the best hair in agency recruitment, Joe Jani. Come on, lad. Is that real for any audio listeners only? I'm talking full on young John Travolta here.
Thanks, Dualta. I have been told a number of times I do look like a textbook recruiter. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but we'll go from there.
Well, as a bald man in his late 30s, I'm definitely a little jealous. So it's great to have you. Joe, your company's called Metric Search. Give us a snapshot of where you're currently at, just size-wise.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us, firstly. Metric Search been a really good journey so far. So we're currently at 53 headcount-wise, 3 offices, New York, London, and slightly less glamorous, but Nottingham. Just finished our last financial year where we hit 10 million revenue. So that's all across perm and good insight into our size.
Lovely, 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 lovely. That is unbelievable. Now, what's even more unbelievable about it is how many years did that take?
Yeah, so started just back end of 2019. So we've just ended year 3.
That's unbelievable. It's astronomical, right? What makes this even more unbelievable is the dog average university degree you got in business studies. I mean, I know because I have one, right? So it's dingbats like me and you in there. And so how long? So you do this average degree, you've got remarkable hair, but you get into agency recruitment. And let me just read this off for anybody who's wondering if he's any use. First person to build 500K in a year. First person to build 2 million. Highest ever revenue, 217, 218. Highest ever first revenue. First retainer award, 2 times global top biller, 225% of team target in America. It goes on and on and on and on, right? How did you just get it straight away? Was there a turning moment? Did you get lucky? What's the story? Is it in the hair?
Yeah, I wish I could put it down to the hair, but no, I'm afraid. I think obviously a 2-1 from Leeds Met is as average as degrees get.
I got a 2-2 from Huddersfield. So
there you go.
You're a high achiever in my books.
Yeah, no, there you go. That's good. Well, no, I was lucky to be in a good business. Some really good managers there. So I picked it up relatively quickly. Being from Nottingham, there's not too many opportunities where you can go into a job. It's not like a London or New York where everyone's making big money. So I was really happy to take that role. And when I went home and told my parents the type of money people were making at my previous firm, they didn't believe me and thought it was some kind of scam. And
what does mum and dad do?
Mum's a social worker, dad's a buyer.
Right. Okay. So real working class background, hey?
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that, I guess, skipping ahead here, I was really passionate about coming back to Nottingham and building the business here. There's not too many office jobs, corporate jobs, and definitely jobs like recruitment with high upside. So really enjoying being back in Nottingham.
Yeah. So you get in there. When how quickly did it take you to start billing and get the swing of it?
I think I did my first deal probably like 8 weeks in, maybe. So I think it was a retainer actually, and then kind of kicked on from there and just got into good habits, I guess.
And so those good habits come from good training, good culture. How did that company structure it to make it so?
Yeah, it was when I joined, they were a good period. I think there was probably about 20, 25 people, and there were some really good billers there who were doing the training actually. So you were learning from like the top billers in the company at that point. So I kind of made an effort to learn from the best person at selling retainers, like the best person on vacancy calls, and was just trying to pick their brains for the first year and then kind of try to implement my own style a little bit after that. But it's always good to learn from good people, and I'm hoping that's what people are trying to do here at Metric now as well.
Yeah. Okay. So you do all of this. Did you set up the Americas office for your previous company?
Yeah. So at 25, got the opportunity to move out as GM North America, which was great. It kind of sounds weird to say now at 25 because I was probably a lot younger than I felt, I guess. But yeah, I got that opportunity, moved out there for a year in New York, and then we had a great year, and they offered us the opportunity to set up with their support and backing to launch Metric. So we had a great first year in America, and then broke off and launched Metric.
Brilliant. Right. Let me ask you the nitty gritties on that. So you're obviously an ambitious young man, right? You've gone to America and you can see the path of going out on your own. But instead of your current company going, do you know what? There's the door, get out. Here's your restrictions. They said, okay, well, how can we be part of that?
Exactly that. And that
I
was
love
choice
that,
at
by
the
the way.
time.
I love that. I think that's a trick that's missed in our industry all the time.
Definitely. And I think that's an arrangement that's worked really well for all parties. It was less risky for us. It was beneficial for them. I think obviously they'll do well out of that now. And hopefully that's the situation we'll find ourselves in a few years' time, where we'll set someone up with their own business if they're highly ambitious and want to do something exciting.
But I'm I don't know the details here, so I just want to squeeze a wee bit out of you. So did you go to them? Did you go to them and say, "Hey, I'm setting up," and they go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," or like walk us through what that, because that's a tricky thing to navigate. Did you have commission coming? Did you think you had enough money? Like,
It was actually the other way around. They came to me and said, "Do you want to do this?" And
huh,
at the time of being in the company with no equity and as the GM, and then they were saying, "Do you want to set this up as MD?" It was a no-brainer for me. So just kind of snapped the hand off and went for it straight away.
interesting. So they had the foresight to almost preempt anything happening, and
Yeah.
and have they done this with anybody else?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so. I think looking back, it was probably quite obvious that I was always asking for the next thing, and
Yeah.
as you do when you're 25, I was looking for the next challenge, and I think it was it was good foresight by them, and as I say, it's worked out really well for everyone.
Yeah. So early days of your launches in the pandemic, and like your growth is remarkable. One of the things that we always tell people is like get a good niche in a good location. And if you could do that and stick to it, things will work out. Now you had the things a bit back to front in a positive way because you had that presence in New York. You were able to launch in New York and then set up the UK, which is almost make the
Yeah.
UK your feeder club for New York.
Yeah, which has been great. And I think that's almost one of our unique selling points, in the sense that there's not many British recruitment firms that start off in New York. So we started off in New York in life science manufacturing, which kind of carried us through COVID, which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, our headquarters is New York. We started there. Great city to be in. Obviously expensive place to launch the business, but I think that's, as we've moved over to England, people are really excited by the fact that we do have that US presence and we're established in New York and we've got a good client base there, which makes things a lot easier.
And what so you're setting up your own business under the other one. You're getting to a point where you're almost doing it's almost independently owned by yourself, right?
Yeah, so they've been almost silent partners throughout. So I've kind of been managing director and ran that, and they've carried on focusing on the current business, which they have. So yeah, I've been pretty much doing it out on my own. Yeah.
Did you tweak any things? Were you tempted to tweak anything from the system that you learned?
Not massively. I think there was loads of positives from that business, which I tried to keep all of them. Like commission structure was great, really good culture. I think in terms of tweaking things, we're probably trying to offer a little bit more flexibility, a little bit less KPI focused. We actually hired like a training and development manager way earlier. I think we were probably like 13 to 15 people when we hired that role. And I guess they were a little slower to do that, but that really elevated us and helped us grow really quickly. So I think that was one of the really positive moves we made.
Yeah, and you're in our leadership community, the Bridge. So you'll
Yeah.
see that's not like I think moving with the times and having a bit of flexibility and more L&D and more marketing, it seems to be a common thread amongst scalable recruitment companies right now.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. And we were almost at that point. We weren't really sure if we needed it, but making that move, and Tim, who's in that role, has been really essential. Everyone loves him in the business. That's been a really positive move for us. And if I could go back, like probably would have done it even earlier. But I guess you don't really see the value that role adds till you do it.
Yeah. So current headcount is
53.
What's that made up of?
In what sense?
Like how many offices?
Cool. Yep. So New York, London, Nottingham. London's the smallest. London's about 10, and then I think there's about 20 odd in Nottingham and 20 odd in in New York.
How many direct reports do you have out of that?
So I've got
50.
yeah, it feels like that sometimes, but no, the structure is quite good, and that's something I've worked quite hard on, to be honest. So we've got FD, GM New York, GM Nottingham, and the head of London office so far.
Right. Okay. So has it all been plain sailing?
No, I think it goes up and down. Obviously launching September 2019, just before the pandemic, that was a really challenging period. We go for the grad model here, so we had a lot of really inexperienced recruiters who to be honest were like needed help, and it was really tough to manage remotely when no one had done it before. So that was a challenging period, but we made a point of keeping everyone on. We didn't get rid of anyone. We didn't furlough anyone. And we actually hired. We made some great hires in that period that we probably wouldn't have been able to get, I guess, unless we were taking that risk. So that was a challenging period of time. And then from going, so we did 1.8 million through COVID, which I was really proud of in our first year, between like 7 or 8 of us. So I was really happy with that. And then on next year to doing 4 million, which was a good achievement. And then last year doing 10. So we showed good growth. I think now is probably the point where we've gone from 25 to 50 really quick.
Yeah.
It's almost stopped being a startup now, and it seems like a proper company, which obviously comes with a few more challenges, but still enjoying it. And but no, it's not been plain sailing by any means.
Yeah, it's all about getting the right advisors in at that stage. I think I've mentioned a few names to you before, like Paul Beak and a few others. And I think when you have people strategically that can guide you to the next stage, and they can plug people in at the right bit. So he's been plugging Charlotte into a few places to do like the detail piece, like the operational and the tech stack and all of that. And I'm sure they put somebody in to do the financial analysis, and somebody else is in to make sure of this. I think getting those experts into your business at the right time is key.
Yeah, and just like adding L&D, I think that will be one when we do add like a strategic advisor, we'll probably see all the value they added. And I will talk to Paul. I'm supposed to be speaking to him in a couple of weeks. There's a couple of like outstanding items on my end, but once they're sorted, looking forward to speaking to a couple of people like Paul.
Yeah. So ultimately, you build companies to sell. How many years are we looking?
Yeah, so me and the current directors here, we've kind of said, look, we want to grow as much as we can in the next 5 years. We're trying to get to 30 million plus revenue, get all of these offices stable, structured, grow headcount in these 3 locations we've got.
Yeah.
And see where we're going in 5 years. I think there's a lot of like big numbers banded around in recruitment, and I'll sometimes hear people saying we're going to sell for 100 mil, we're going to sell for 200 mil, and I'm always really reluctant to do that. Of course, we'd love to, but I'm always reluctant to go in with that at the start. So we're all young, like we're all 30 odd in the leadership team. So I think we've got a good 5 years and see where we can get to.
Yeah, brilliant. There's no way you're 30 odd now, lad. What are you?
Well, to be fair, I'm actually 30 next week, so I'm actually 29.
Still 29. Oh, you'll feel it now next week. Don't worry.
Sure.
So this is really exciting. So if you could visualize, like things have kind of worked perfectly for you, you know, from like being a top performer to getting international move to growing that to getting back to do your own thing. Let's say magically you get that exit and it works out perfectly, and it's a 5 years, or there's an MBO that happens or something. What would you do then?
Yeah, good. I think I'd probably take a year, and then I thought about this a few times. I think I'd go and do it again. I think I'd want to go and do it again. I listened to one of the podcasts. I think it was
it Mark Zanowski?
No, it was like Dave Spencer personally does life science people, and he was like, obviously he's done it multiple times, and I kind of like the idea of that. If I still got the energy, I'd love to try do it again, maybe different sector.
Yeah. I I had I've interviewed Mark Zanowski a couple of times, and he sold Eurostat for like serious money years ago. And I said, so okay, so what's the story? Like, what do you do then? He goes, well, you obviously you have a better standard of living. Your kids are maybe in a better school, and you maybe have an extra holiday, and maybe some property investments. And then you're like, well, what am I really
Yeah,
good at? So then he's like, then you kind of think, well, I don't want to be the one doing all the work. So then, okay, maybe I'll go back somebody. And now they've got Engtal, and you got a really talented
yeah,
leader, and he's away doing it again. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. He gets to fly over to America once a month, do his like do the lunch clubs or whatever it is, make sure that everything's going well. Goes back, somebody else has most of the pressure, and then maybe you do it again. And it,
definitely. No, I like the idea of that, and I obviously I moan about it from time to time, but I do love recruitment. I've done really well out of the
yeah,
industry. A couple of our grads last year made like a couple made 80K in Nottingham, a couple made over 150 in London
yeah,
and New York, and I'm still buzzing for them. And
yeah.
I think I think I'll always get the buzz from that. I enjoy it. I still do deals myself. I
Yeah.
still enjoy that. So yeah,
I saw the MD of Oscar, not Andy, the other guy, put out a post on LinkedIn. Apologies, I can't remember his name, but it was about home ownership in young recruiters in their business. I thought it was brilliant. It was
nice.
like, I can't remember, it was like 60% of them were able to buy their own house. And in times like this, it's wonderful that our industry can provide that.
Definitely, they've put some really good content out recently as well. I saw they were like featuring a lot of their like £1 million or $1 million
Yeah.
billers as well, which I thought was cool. So yeah, no, I think I'll always be involved in it, but in some aspects. If my wife listens to this, I don't know what she'll say when I get home. She might have something different.
She'll say, I'm hanging on to you until you
Yeah,
get that exit anyway.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure.
What do you still love about it?
I think I like being able to help people. I like the energy of the office. I think my main driver with Metric is just providing opportunities to people who maybe wouldn't necessarily get them. I think having the 21, 22-year-olds come in and work really hard and change their life, I do love that. And I like the fact that I feel really well placed to help them. And I think the leadership team here all feel really well placed to help people. We've all, I guess, been around the block in our careers in recruitment. Obviously, none of us are that old, but we've seen a lot of things. We've all done relatively well. I think being able to pass that on, I do enjoy. And I think as an industry, it is like no other. I know you can in New York and London, you've got finance, but I think the freedom and flexibility you get in recruitment is way more than that. And in New York, we obviously compete trying to hire people against some of the Wall Street banks, and like they can make similar money, but they're working till 4 a.m. It's a different lifestyle altogether, recruitment, if you do it right.
Sure is. I've just come from a private BJJ session. Yeah.
There you go.
My wife's going to be breaking my balls. You're not making enough money. Uh,
There you
uh,
go. That's it. That's what I mean. There's not too many jobs where you can, if you're good at it, you can literally do what you want.
and I think you're making this sound easier than it is. Um, there's a reason not many people are able to scale to 50 in that time zone and that or in that timeline, and that's because it's incredibly hard. How much work did you have to do to get it to that point? Like, can you kind of give us an insight into that? Because it, I know it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot, to be fair. I think the through the pandemic was the main period of time where I was doing that, because we just started, we were 7, 8 people, and I was 7 every day, working at night, working all hours, to build this client base up. And then following that, I guess the real hard work was getting the structure in place. And then that took about 18 months to get good leaders in New York, which we've got now, to get good leaders in London, which we've got now, and then good leaders in Nottingham, which we've got. And I think that's difficult, as well as anyone. Like hiring experienced recruiters is tough, and trying to get people, either bring people through and up to speed, or hire people I knew and get them in to form the leadership team. That was tough, but no, look, building anything takes a lot of sacrifice and time and hours, and again, my wife, I'm sure she'll say, like, I don't really switch off. Like, I'm emailing people now, but if one of the team rings me at 12 at night, I'll speak to him. And it is really like a 24/7 job for me. Even though I might not be in the office 24/7, I'm still working
Yeah,
or
you're on
thinking
it.
about things. Or if I'm running and listening to one of your podcasts, like, I'll
Yeah.
get an idea and then I'm writing it down as soon as I get back. So it's just 24/7. And I guess most people you interview were probably similar.
Yeah. Well, most people don't get to 50 after 3 years. So I suppose I probably just wanted to hear that it, you don't switch off. That's why you got to that point, as opposed to going, okay, I'm going to have a lot of people that we would coach, they would do a good quarter, take the foot off the gas.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
You've reinvested every time and
But
grow and grow.
yeah, and we've had to, but we're in good markets. And like life science manufacturing, construction, they've been really good, and our clients have been great. They keep coming back to us. They're giving us more and more roles each year. So it's kind of a natural progression. And the blueprint we've got for grads, I feel really confident in it, and I feel like it really works. So the average fee, or the average year last year for Metric, was 375K per head. And that was with probably like 20 new starters. So we've had new starters coming in doing, I think 2 of them did over 500, 4 of them did over 300.
Yeah.
So the blueprint works. So I don't feel nervous hiring grads. I
Yeah.
feel good hiring them. And I feel like if they follow the training and follow the structure and we'll kind of get them
That
off to a good start, then we should be
that
fine.
that number sounds astronomical, but that probably equates to a deal and a half a month to do 300 in your key markets.
Yeah, that's dollars, by the way, I will say.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
So a
yeah,
deal, like
yeah,
a deal a month gets you there. Whereas if
yeah.
somebody's in a, a less fruitful regional desk where their average fee is 4K or 5K, like,
Yeah, it's tough.
that's tough. And I always look at these people, I'm like, what are you doing? Like if you have the same, you don't need to move to New York. You could move to Nottingham, or you could move to London, or you could, like, there's so many better markets that you can work from the UK in better niche disciplines.
Definitely. And I think, again, that goes back, say 80% of our work's in the US, and the US market's great. It's nowhere near as saturated as the UK, but that's what I mean. And I think that's another benefit of us being in New York at the start. We've just got that US market. It's set up ready for people to plug into. And then they are coming in and doing 300, 400, 500. And as you know, when you start in recruitment, if you get success early, you're going to stick with the
Yeah.
industry. So that's key for us, getting people up and running ASAP with good commission checks, etc.
Cool. Can I ask you a few questions? Just might be helpful for other founders of businesses thinking of getting into the US. Uh,
Sure.
is there any challenges with winning business? How do you go about that?
No, I think people tend to overcomplicate it. We just hired a PC here in Nottingham who's not worked the US before, and he's done a lot of work in Germany. I was like, honestly, don't overcomplicate it. It's so candidate led. If you get a good candidate in the right place, you're going to be fine. If you get good candidates, work and put them in the front of the right people, you'll be fine. The only difference for me is that it's a lot more talent acquisition focused. You're not going to be dealing with the hiring managers. They might pass you on, but you've got to have that relationship with HR, TA. You probably can't negotiate your terms as much as you would in Europe. It's a bit like, look, take this, it's good, it's 20%, don't push it. But that's fine because you're going to get 100 roles over the year. So I think they're probably the key things for us, but I think people can overcomplicate it with strategy, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's just numbers, getting good candidates in the right place in good
But it's
markets.
funny, isn't it? Like I had an advisory session, a couple of recently ones. I try and leave it all to Charlotte, but I get roped into it. And I have people asking me real complex questions. And I'm like, you're overcomplicating this. Like, just get the candidate, control it, call the person up, explain the pitch, follow up, make it happen, do the right thing. What I'm interested in now is, once you get that done, you have the terms. Is your process then to expand that account and get more roles?
Yeah, definitely. And that we're huge on that. Like, and I've always done this from day one in my career. I'll ask for roles constantly. even before we filled one, I was like, look, this is in a good place. You like this? Let's go for the next one. Let's go for the next one, and just make yourself available constantly. So when we're in with these big accounts, we're trying to get all the way in. We're trying to globalize them. We're trying to work with them in different functions. But that's been a reason we've grown so quickly and well. But if you're doing a good job for a company, there's no reason they wouldn't expand with you.
Yeah. So that leads me to my next question, which so in that you're not really hyper niche in what you would do, like a Frank Group, for example, where they'd be like, we just do dynamics. We work a certain sector and then you expand the delivery of that from there.
Definitely, yeah. So we'll work with some big pharma accounts, some big med device accounts. If they want to hire a HR person or a finance person, like sure, we'll do it for them. It's easier than hiring a salesperson. But
Yeah.
as long as you understand that specific of that market you're in, you'll be fine. Because again, the process is the same. So as long as you can sell that company, like let's be honest, doing a LinkedIn recruiter search isn't that hard to find whether you find in HR, if you're going to the company's competitors, it's fine. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're not, I wouldn't say we're hyper niche in that, but we do understand the verticals we're working in.
Yeah. Okay. So you understand the verticals, but you people who work for you don't need to be a salesperson expert within that vertical. They'll be like, you need to be able to recruit whatever roles we give you.
Yeah, basically, as long as it's across, like, let's say certain sections of life science or certain sections of med device or certain sections of construction, yeah, they
Yeah.
need to be able to hire all of them. But again, like that's how we've got to 50 by
Yeah.
not being too picky. And I'm like, look, if there's a role there, that's a 30K fee, like go fill it. Of course you fill it. And then as they grow their teams, we'll slowly and surely get more and more focused. And then we'll have someone who just does sales and just does quality and just does regulatory. But in the first 3 years of running this, like who are we to be turning down business?
Yeah. So do you know what? And that works when you have staff. See, if you're just an individual standalone recruiter and you try
Yeah.
that process, you'll get beat all the time.
Yeah.
You're
Of
not
course.
focused, but it's really interesting that when you have four people from day one, that you're like, I won the account, right, guys? We're going to make this work. And when we
Definitely.
deliver on it, then we have more IP, processes, all the rest. And then you build out the teams under that.
Of course, and that's exactly what we'll do and continue to do, and we feel really confident in that getting us to 100 people, 150 people. So no, yeah, it's worked really well and keeps us busy. Again, in recruitment, you don't really want to be sat there with nothing to work on. And I always think as a new starter,
Yeah.
you're probably better off practicing working something that maybe isn't perfectly your area, but it's still practice. It's still a fee. You can still fill it.
Yeah. So, what are the current challenges then? You get to 50, like,
Yeah, good question. I guess a lot of grads, I think we added, of that 50, we probably added about 20, 25 over the last year. So we hired in big groups of grads. Obviously getting to 50, we probably could do with a bit more middle management, to be honest, across the business. So like I'm still helping grads here and the GM still helping grads. So we're very flat in that sense. That's a challenge. Average age of the company, I suppose. A lot of people, this is their first job. So with that obviously comes challenges. I guess the market has slowed down probably a little bit from maybe 12 months ago when everyone was coming out of COVID.
we can't fix the market. You have your model of hiring, it's work. But let's talk about the middle management piece.
Yeah.
How do you take somebody into your business who has experience when you have a very specific culture like that? That's a big challenge.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And that's always been challenging. I guess it's the way where we've had success is hiring people who've worked in companies who also have the grad model.
Yeah.
Because they understand. So we had like a couple from Faden. We just had a guy join in London to head up that office who's worked for a couple of similar companies to ours. So I guess that's the way we've got around it. I think it'd be difficult for someone to come in and join here from maybe a
Paid
Hayes or a
workers.
Michael Pate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that might be challenging. But it's hard
Yeah. We
hiring experienced
usually
recruiters
find
anyway.
actually the Page Walters, hey, the PLC model
Yeah,
works when you have much more accounts and there's actually a much less I don't know, there's more average to manage rather than like drive it like a stolen grads. It's a different mindset, but you all end up
100%.
there eventually.
Definitely, and that's good. And I think that's again one of the challenges for us is like we want everyone does 360. We want everyone doing new BD.
Yeah.
There's obviously accounts to work on, but obviously nothing like a Page or a Hayes where they've got every account going. So
Yeah. All right. So I think that's us for today, Joe. Really interesting story. Have you won any awards? I haven't seen you. I haven't seen your face all over any big awards thing. Have you shied away from that?
I think we just started looking at a couple like this year. We've been nominated for two. I think we've been nominated for small like new recruitment business of the year, and I got nominated for young recruitment business person of the year as well.
Yeah.
So they're in December. So fingers crossed we'll win them. But
Good.
yeah, we've not been in for too many, to be honest.
No, very good. So look, really, really great story, and we've talked a lot over the years, and you're like, I think I'm ready to come on now, and it's cool that you were listening back when you were thinking of setting up, and now you're at 50 people.
I know, yeah. I mean, I've probably listened to all of them. But weirdly, was quite nervous to come on actually, and I was kind of like, oh, we're only 10, we're only 20, we're only 30, and then finally decided to I guess get the bottle to come on and do it. So, but yeah, no, thanks for having us. It's been good, and hopefully we'll be able to come on again in another 5 years. I can tell you about the next plan.
Oh, lovely. And it's funny that, isn't it? It's never enough, by the way. Like,
yeah,
that's what I said. Like, you're 10 to whoever's at 2. They're like, you're so far ahead, and you're at 50 to somebody who's at 20, and they're like, I can't get off this. So it's never
yeah.
enough.
No,
Enjoy the journey.
it's always good though. I think listening to these, like I've always taken something from all the ones I've listened to that you've done, and yeah, no, I think it's definitely beneficial. So yeah, no, hopefully we'll be able to come back on again.
Great stuff. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Cheers to all. I appreciate it.